Previously on Adventure They Wrote.
Oh, yeah, you're talking about Triest.
Triest, right. Do you know where Triest was living while she was working here?
The club keeps a couple apartments just down the street. But then a guy across the street comes out of an alleyway and he says, "You've been asking too many questions."
Enough of this, my dear. We are quite dangerous.
No, he's dead. He melts into like a puddle of flesh and goo.
The Countess just sort of like dusts her hands off and just sort of looks between the two remaining ones. I am a woman of my word.
They call it the City of Splendors. Jewel of the North. Maybe. Down here in the Dock Ward, it's more like the City of Secrets. Everyone has something they're hiding. Criminal enterprises, a noble's affair with a commoner, magic items of untold power. What do I know? I just sell the news. Yeah, to some it's a City of Splendors. To everyone else, it's just Waterdeep.
Okay, Talia and Kat, the Countess and Celine have just defeated the 3 bandits, or ruffians, depending on your persuasion, outside of Triest's apartment. How would you like to proceed now?
I think we should try to go into Triest's apartment.
So you go in, and how do you approach?
Well, the Countess has given Celine Blessing of the Trickster, so she does have advantage on stealth checks.
Great.
And you have Bardic Inspiration still.
All right.
So do you want to try to sneak up to the apartment? Is that what you're...
I think so.
Okay. Talia, go ahead and roll a stealth check for me.
11.
And the Kat, is the Blessing of the Trickster advantage on that?
It is advantage.
16.
16. Okay, so you approach the apartment stealthily, and you can hear very faint noises coming from inside. Someone is obviously in there. They're making some attempts to conceal their presence, but they're not being totally quiet.
Okay. I think we should approach, maybe try to sneak up on them. What floor is this on?
This is on the 2nd floor above kind of some shops, like a shop area. So this is a building that's maybe 3 stories tall, and there are 2 stories of living accommodations over like a grocery and another candle shop, some little odds and ends shops like that.
So was the person in the grocery area or the 2nd level?
The 2nd level above those businesses.
Are there neighboring units up here?
There are. You recall from the conversation that you had in the bar that there are 3 apartments here that the owner of the bar keeps for the entertainment within. So if there are bands, traveling troubadours, that kind of thing, performing at the Jade Dancer, they're accommodated here.
Okay. And were there any balconies on the upper level that we noticed?
There are no balconies, but there are windows.
Okay. The Countess wants to do something. She's going to knock on one of the neighbors' doors.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Very, sort of frantically.
Frantically. Is this one of the neighboring doors for the Jade Dancer?
Just whichever one is, like, adjacent to the unit that we want to get into.
Okay. So you knock frantically on the door, and a very bleary-eyed half-elf sort of cracks the door open and peers out at you questioningly.
All right, the Countess is just going to be very flustered and say, "Oh, my dear, there was a commotion down below. Bodies. There's a puddle of a person. I require some tea immediately." And she just like sort of rushes in
and pushes right past him.
Yes.
Okay, I love it. Roll. Oh, I cannot decide if this is persuasion or intimidation. Because there's not like a confusion. There's not like a confounding check. You can choose. You can roll. You can decide if you want persuasion or intimidation.
All right.
Could it be deception?
Yeah, deception. Deception's good. Roll a deception check.
Okay. That is a 19.
A 19. Perfect. He seems almost as concerned as you are. You push past him, and he's still trying to kind of rub the sleep out of his eyes, and he goes, "Did you say a puddle of a person?"
Yes, indeed, it was horrifying. Oh, Celine, do come in here quickly before one of those scoundrels comes in after you, and shut the door.
Shut the door and walk right on in.
He seems momentarily like taken aback by the tiefling, but he recovers pretty quickly. And sort of, he says, "Tea, yes, tea.
Strong.
A puddle of a person," and puts a pot on over the dying embers of the fire.
The strongest you can make it. If you could put a splash of something special in there, that would probably calm my nerves. And I'm just going to go over to the window and gently slide it open and peer out. To see if the Countess can ascertain how far the other window is.
Oh, this is good. The window is close enough that a moderate athletics or acrobatics check could conceivably put a person within reach of it. You couldn't reach out and just sort of grab it. But a small leap of faith could put you there.
The Countess is going to message Celine and relay this information, but also say, "I do believe, my dear, that your time at the circus may come in handy at this moment if you wanted to take a peek next door."
All right, so Celine will kind of nod and start moving towards the window too. And if the Countess can keep this guy occupied, I will see if I can climb into the other apartment.
Yes, the Countess will come over. And is the kitchen like in a separate area?
Well, he's not. He doesn't have a kitchen per se. What he has is a fireplace.
Okay.
With sort of the remains of a fire in it, and that's where he's trying to kick something up to boil the water over there. So he's already a little bit distracted.
Okay. I think the Countess will go over there and continue to distract him.
Okay.
And just sort of put on some fake tears and lean into him and just have her hands like very shaky.
Okay. I'm going to make that a continuation of the last deception check, so that's fine. You're doing a great job there. I'm going to roll a quick perception check for the guy. As Celine begins to open the window and sort of prepare herself for this leap, he is oblivious. He has no idea what's happening. He might have thought Celine was just a dream. So, Talia, take it away. Celine, she could sing a song back there, and he's not going to see it coming.
I am going to look out. Is there anything that I can grab onto and kind of leap?
There's a very narrow ledge in front of both windows.
Oh, perfect.
But it doesn't extend the entire way. So
That's
you'd have to leap from one ledge to the next.
Is the window next open?
Yeah, it's cracked a little bit. That would make sense for a apartment window to be cracked on a crisp autumn evening.
On the second floor.
On the second, yeah, she's not scared of robbers.
She should be.
She should be scared of demon bards.
Maybe a little. I'm going to jump from ledge to ledge and see if I can crack the window to get in.
Are you doing athletics or acrobatics?
Acrobatics.
Great.
16.
Yeah, that's fine. As you leap over, do you want to leap over to like a standing position, or are you going to try to hang from the ledge and kind of peer in surreptitiously?
No, standing. I still have my stealth.
Yeah, I don't know that the stealth would extend to sleeping in front of her window in full view.
How about like a crouch? I don't want to hang.
Okay. Roll another stealth check.
11, but then I have my advantage. That's not gonna work. That's an 11.
Okay. So you leap to a crouching position in front of the window, and you can see a woman, a very small woman inside. Not small like halfling or goblin or gnome small, just sort of a small woman. Like very quietly rushing around and shoving things into a rucksack. And she notices you immediately.
Yes, she does.
She it's like she felt you coming. And she seems, for just a moment, gobsmacked by the appearance of a demon on her windowsill.
But we've met before.
A long time ago, yeah.
I'm just gonna stand up, try to pull the window open a little bit, and be Triest, it's me, Celine. Do you remember when we worked back at the Jade Dancer?
She is, like, backing up towards the door.
Oh, no.
And then kind of a flash of recognition crosses her face, and she sort of breathes out a sigh of relief and comes over and opens the window for you to let you inside. And she's like, why didn't you just knock? You scared the life out of me.
Well, we weren't sure if you would run. We ran into some thugs, and it wasn't pretty. Don't look down right now. There's a puddle. My friend and I, the Countess, are here because we're trying to solve a case. We've started working with the Waterdeep Waterdeep Detective Agency, and we were told that you were up here and you might have some information for us about Grukkan Axehaft.
So she says, your friend is out there too, and looks out the window to see if there's someone else.
Oh, no. She's in the next apartment over, keeping whoever that is distracted.
Triest says, Felix? She's with Felix? This doesn't make any sense. Why are you here?
We were told that you might have known what happened to Grukkan Axehaft.
She says, you're here because of what happened to Grukkan?
Yes, we're trying to solve his murder. We don't know who did it, but we know it was someone in a black cloak riding away on a horse with a crossbow. And so far, that's the only story we've heard.
She says, I might know something that can help, but I can't talk now. I have to get out of here. I think there are people coming for me, and I can't be here when they get here.
We can help you. Where do you need to go?
Just somewhere safe. I was going to leave the city, but if you have someplace that you can take me...
Yes, we can take you back to the agency.
Roll a persuasion check.
19.
She's persuaded. Yeah, she's like, great, let me get my stuff. And then she grabs her rucksack, and she's like, oh, we should get your friend too. Felix isn't all together upstairs. He's not the best company.
That explains a lot. She's okay, but we'll go get her now.
Okay, so you're gonna bring Triest back to the agency?
Yes.
The Countess will snag whatever. If Felix had any alcohol that he was going to put in the tea, she's going to snag that from him.
Perfect. Okay, so we'll just jump ahead to you bringing Triest back. Team Short has already been at the office for a while now, considering that the investigation that they were doing was so much closer anyway. And so Doran, Gilly, and Max, you are all kind of waiting as patiently as you can when the Countess and Celine enter the office with a very short wood elf between them. And she looks very shaken up. She's kind of furtively glancing over her shoulders constantly, as if she's worried someone might be following her.
So Gilly is just going to look around and kind of smile at her and say, "Hey, it looks like you're back and you brought a friend. Come on in."
Yeah, this is Triest. You might have remembered hearing about someone that Grukkan was seeing. Well, Triest might have some information that we need.
All right. She didn't tell you earlier? Triest probably can talk. Can you talk for yourself? Or do you need something to eat? Or do you need to sit down for a minute?
The Countess is going to sort of usher Triest over to her very comfortable chair, get some china teacups, and pour some of the alcohol that she had taken from Felix and offer it to her.
So Triest knocks it back in one go and seems very grateful for the fortification, we'll say. She looks down sadly sort of into the cup, and she says, Grukkan and I, we've been sort of seeing each other for a while now, or at least we had been.
The Countess is going to look over to Max.
Max is going to grab his notebook and come over and nod and say, thanks for coming in. Did Grukkan's wife know about you two?
Triest fiddles with the cup in her lap, and she says, Grukkan didn't talk much about his wife, if you know what I mean.
Sure.
The Countess tips her teacup a little into Triest and just sort of tops her up a little.
Hey, Countess.
Oh, yes?
You got a, another cup for me?
Oh, I'm sure. There must be a cup somewhere along here. And she goes out and finds a less fancy cup for Gilly and pours a little bit of alcohol in there, like a thimbleful because he's so wee.
Gilly just kind of shrugs and smiles at her and says, "Yeah, that's fine. That should be fine."
Doran will go up to Triest. He'll say, "Excuse me, miss. Did you see Grukkan with anybody while you were at the club with him? Anyone suspicious?"
Triest says, no, I wasn't exactly on the lookout for that. I mean, I would go to the club and I would play my set. Sometimes Grukkan would be there to meet me afterwards, and sometimes he wouldn't be. I never really saw him with anyone else.
Gilly looks at her after he sips his laced tea and says, "No one else at all? He never talked about anyone with you?"
She says no one. Countess, I'd like you to roll an insight check.
Natural 1 plus 5.
Oh, no.
Yeah, she may have taken a couple sips too many.
The Countess is a little bit too deep into her cup to gain anything from what Triest is saying. Talia, why don't you roll an insight check?
Because I have a +0. Oh, it's a 1.
Also a 1. How did you guys get jobs as detectives? You're like the least insightful people ever.
I have very good investigation, mind you.
Well, my modifier, to be fair, is actually +5 on that insight check. I just rolled really poorly.
That's true. Yeah.
I have a +5 for persuasion.
Okay. Does that help you understand?
It doesn't.
No, it doesn't. Okay, so she reiterates again. No, I've never seen him with anyone else that seemed shady or suspicious. I mean, no more than usual. He was a criminal. He was in charge of one of the biggest crime families in Waterdeep. Beyond that, I didn't see anything suspicious.
Then why are you here if you don't have any information that helps us in this case?
She starts to get a little bit more sort of frustrated, and she's like, well, Celine she showed up on my window, and she came in through my window, and she said she was looking for the guy that killed him, and I was with him that night, and she's just she's past the verge of tears. She's starting to cry now, and she's making all of you very uncomfortable.
The Countess takes her hands in her hands and just sort of tries to soothe her and says, "Oh, don't mind the nasty goblin." She throws daggers at Max with her eyes. He didn't mean anything like that at all. You're under a great deal of stress, and surely you know who was after you.
She says, "No, I don't know. I received a note from Bomer at the club who said that there had been a lot of people asking around about me, and I knew it was time to get out of between that and what happened to Grukkan. I knew it was time to get out of the city."
Do you still have the note, Triest?
She says, "Yeah, somewhere," and she starts digging around in her rucksack. She pulls out a very small little note. It just says, "Triest, there are people asking around about you," and it's signed Bomer.
Do we know who Bomer is?
Celine knows that Bomer is the simple-minded bouncer that you dealt with outside of the club.
Okay.
So much help.
So Gilly is gonna, kind of just kind of observe what's going on here, kind of the exchange that's happening. I'd like to see if there's any kind of anything I'm picking up from her as far as her authenticity of her story so far.
Yeah, you could roll an insight check for that.
20.
See, ladies, that is how you roll an insight check.
Watch how it's done.
I'm getting just the worst look over here.
Deservedly so.
Deservedly so.
Precisely.
This die that I have, it kills characters too.
Okay, you can tell that she is being. This is all very authentic, but there's also something that she's holding back, and it's something that is very strongly contributing to the tears.
So Gilly has been watching what's been going on, sitting on top of the desk, just his legs dangling down. And he kind of looks over at Triest as the Countess consoles her, and then says to her, "So what do you know about the Thrice Tusk Brigade? You know anything about the Thrice Tusk Brigade?"
She looks very confused. She says, "No, I don't know anything about them."
Nothing at all, huh?
Nothing.
Okay, because I guess they've been up to no good, too. Just wondering.
Doran's gonna walk behind the desk, and he's gonna turn into a big, stupid, floppy dog.
Oh, I love this.
Out of her sight. And then he's gonna run up and try to console.
So just a big, doofy, lovable mess.
Yeah, the whole works. Big floppy ears.
Are you like a basset hound?
St. Bernard, I think.
Okay, St. Bernard, nice. So you're giant.
Yeah.
And the Countess sees the drool coming towards her and immediately backs away.
Brad, I don't know what to make you roll for this. I'm going to roll for her. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to roll for Triest. Yeah, she is immediately feeling better. She sees you and just actually kind of giggles a little bit and starts playing with your big floppy ears. She's like, "Who's a big dumb doggy? Who is it? It's you. You are."
No judgment, Doran.
Keep it together, Doran. It's all part of the game.
Yeah, it's working. It's working very well.
I think the Countess is going to come over and really gently just 1-2 tap on Doran's head and say, "Yes, he's a lovely mascot, would you care to... Perhaps you should rest the night and your head will be clearer and we can discuss this horrible business in the morning. But for now, you should rest and take care of yourself and we shall ensure for your safety.
She says, yes, I would like that very much.
Should we send Doran to sleep with her?
Ew.
Not like that.
Wild shape only lasts an hour, okay?
That might get awkward.
Well, he could probably go over there and like keep her company until she nods off.
Yeah. And then we can all have a discussion about what to do next.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens. Doran helps her fall asleep. She nods off almost immediately. Between the lateness of the hour and the excitement of the day, she passes out right away, and you're able to have a hushed conversation about what you've learned so far.
Doran will come back and just sit right next to the Countess.
Still in dog form?
Still in dog form for the duration.
Yeah. You notice that she's just sort of like, her body is like tilting away from Doran, but she's sort of smiling down and nodding at you, trying to be pleasant, but also like her body language is very much like, don't drool on me.
Yeah.
Clearly disgusted.
I suppose the Countess will recount in great detail how they fought off, Celine and her fought off many, many bandits on their own to great success.
And how you goobified one?
Yes.
What kind of bandits, Countess? Gilly asks.
Oh, they were, she looks through her belongings and pulls out one of the, it was a necklace, I believe, that she had taken from a bandit corpse. I believe this is the calling card of the Thrice-Tusked Brigade.
Oh yeah, you mean the ones I just mentioned?
Oh yes,
that's right. They've been causing all kinds of trouble around town.
So Gilly, you actually know a little bit more information about the Thrice-Tusked Brigade just from your reporting of the newspaper. This is an organization of mercenaries that was founded by survivors of the last Orcish horde, and they are kind of like a weird mix of brutal efficiency. They don't really have a tremendous amount of respect for other humanoid races. There's a strong undercurrent of racism that underlies their organization. Any member that is to join has to pay their due with 3 orc tusks. So yeah, they're not friendly mercenaries.
When you say 3 orc tusks, does that mean that they need to like harvest tusks from other orcs?
Yes.
Or is it like self-dentistry?
Yeah.
No. They are not orcish. They are not orcish mercenaries. They're human mercenaries.
Oh.
To get a job with the Thrice-Tusk Brigade, they have to pay their dues with 3 orc tusks.
Oh, because you mentioned the last orcish horde kind of thing, and I thought that like, oh, they're orcs, but now I understand.
Yeah, my bad. No, they are human defenders during the last orcish horde.
No, that makes sense. No,
and they don't like orcs very much, but that dislike has bled over into other humanoid races as well.
So I turn and look at Max, and I say, "Hey, Max, you want to tell him what we found?" Or Doran can't really talk too much right now.
Although I wish he would.
Woof, woof, woof.
Max recounts the story of the burnt-out buildings and the offer of 18,000 gold per home so that some syndicate could buy up all of the land. But other than that, we don't know who's buying the land and we don't know why. But we know that the people who wouldn't sell got burnt out.
The Countess arches an eyebrow and says, 18,000 gold. That's rather a pittance.
Max, would it be fair to say that Team Tall delivered a lead, whereas Team Short did not?
Max doesn't think so, because the person that is currently in our office has given us no information whatsoever.
But we know she has some.
The Countess would argue that, well, I do believe that we came into this not knowing whomever this Emre fellow was, and the Thrice Tusk Brigade, whatever they are, I should think that Celine fared rather well in your wager.
Max flips over the coins. It says, fine, but later we're going to be playing some good cop, bad cop, because she's our only real lead on the murder, and we need to know what she knows.
Okay.
Oh, Darn will say woof woof, and then shake his head, and then he'll remove wild shape.
The Countess is basically, she's got her hands up covering her face, just in case he was going to come up and like lick or slobber on her.
Excuse me, sorry about that. What we know is someone has enough money to pay $18,000 for property and enough money to hire the Thrice Tusk gang to kill this guy. If we put it together, there's someone rich in charge.
You mean dragons, right? 18,000 dragons? Gilly looks at you.
I don't know. I've never been in this town before. Is that what you call them?
Yeah, that's what they call dragons. Yeah, I mean, you can call them gold if you want to.
No, I'll call them dragons. Good to know.
Dragons are rather confusing to me.
Well, 18,000 of them ain't too confusing, because that would be an absurd number.
Well, it was rather alarming, to be honest.
So who's got that kind of cash?
Countess, you would know that only the very highest echelons of nobility within Waterdeep would be able to throw around that kind of money. In fact, you could probably put together a list of maybe 10 names that would be capable of doing it.
Well, I suppose I could put together a list of 10 or so names.
Gilly looks around at all of you and says, "Oh well, that's real nice and good. You know, I think your suspicions are correct. I've got a feeling that Triest there is hiding something from us."
Well, I suppose I shall retire to put together this list, and Celine and Max, I suppose you shall be interrogating her in the morning.
Oh yeah, Countess, do you have one of those fancy roll-top desks, where you compose letters and such?
I kind of imagine that in part of the office that she did, she's got the little comfy chair and she's got the roll top desk, and she's the only person that has the key to the desk.
Yeah, because I never can get into that.
Oh, she looks rather shocked at you.
What? No, I meant, I just tried it once and it didn't open, so I left it alone. That's what I meant.
She wags her finger at you.
I imagine that you could probably fit in the roll top deck.
Can we assume that the Countess can run off and retire for the evening and heal up?
Yeah, absolutely. Long rests all around. Doesn't really matter for Team Short, but...
Oh, it matters. It matters. I like my beauty sleep.
That's true. That's true, and you need it.
What you talking about?
Heyo!
Gotta get them Z's.
Yes, you all go to sleep. You rest up. You feel much better in the morning. And you reconvene back at the agency, and Triest is up, and she looks a little bit better than she did last night. Her eyes aren't red and puffy anymore. She doesn't look as harried as she did the day before. And she is sort of awake and waiting for you.
She doesn't look as harried or hairy?
Harried.
I mean, did she have a haircut or something in the morning?
With a D.
Okay, harried.
She was covered in Saint Bernard for...
Yeah.
Yeah. She's vacuumed it all off of her. Got it. Okay, great.
She had one of those rollers.
Let's make her our secretary.
Trieste, good morning. How are you feeling?
She says, much better today, but I think I need to get out of the city. I think it's time for me to find a new gig somewhere else.
Oh, no. No need to rush. We can definitely help you. Come sit down. Have some breakfast. I offer her whatever I can find in the cupboards.
Max, what does the Waterdeep Detective Agency keep in the cupboards for breakfast?
I don't expect that there is food in a detective agency.
Coffee and cigarettes.
That might help her.
That's all there is.
Fancy coffee for the Countess.
Is the Countess awake?
Yeah, everyone is there, and
Gilly's not there. He's a little late this morning.
Gilly is not there. Everyone else is.
Dorn will offer her a cultish meat pie.
Choltish.
Choltish, sorry. He really likes them now.
Yeah. New favorite.
Oh, yes.
That was subtle. I liked that. That was really good.
I'm going to go to the Countess and ask her if she has anything in her belongings that might be appealing to her.
I think the Countess in the mornings, she on her way in, she goes by one of the fancier pastry shops and picks up something for herself. And inevitably, she knows that somebody's going to ask her for something, so she always picks up a backup something. So she hands Celine the backup. Let's say it's a croissant.
I imagine it's usually Gilly that's asking for something.
Yeah.
It's too late this morning.
Yep. Yeah, so she seems mollified by that. She says, fine, I suppose I can sit and have breakfast. And she sits down and she starts enjoying her croissant.
All right, so I'll sit down next to her. Triest, I know you were really upset last night, but it seems like there's still something missing. We really need to figure out what happened to Grukkan. And I know we can help you more if we can just figure out who's coming after you and what's going on.
Roll a persuasion check.
24.
She says, I don't know anything about what happened to him, but I do know that there was something going on at his home.
Do you think it was something with his wife?
She shakes her head. She says, I don't know about that. He, like I said, he never really talked about his wife. It's just that the night that he was murdered, he came to the club to tell me that he was leaving and that we couldn't see each other anymore.
Oh, so he broke it off. I'm so sorry.
On that note, the door kind of flies open, and Gilly's there. You know, like right when you guys are like, oh, I'm so sorry, right? Gilly just kind of shows up, right? And he's like, hey, everyone, did you see today's paper? 16 leaf fall, fire methods suspected in Southward arson. That's where we were.
Are those a type of coin?
Coin? No, fire methods. They're like a little little elemental guys.
Oh, you have to excuse me. I'm rather confused with all the currency here now. Dragons, methods.
Methods are not a currency, Countess.
If you say so.
Dorn will hold up a silver coin. What's this one called? I'll give you one for a copy.
Which one? The silver one?
Yeah, the silver.
It's called a shard. Silver shards.
Yeah, I'll trade you a shard for a copy.
For a coffee or a copy? Oh, because I got coffee, over here too. We got it in the cabinets.
Copy of the newspaper.
You don't have to buy this paper, Doran. This is a perk for, associating with me. You can have this one.
Oh, thank you. You want a meat pie?
Well, I'm a little hungry. Yeah, that'd be nice. You got an extra one of those?
I keep spares wherever I go.
Oh, are those Cholton meat pies? I love those things. They're so good. The spices are the best, aren't they?
Listen, can't get enough.
Trieste, by the way, is absolutely horrified with this conversation. She's just sort of like revealed this deeply personal and traumatizing thing only to see the conversation devolve to what coins are called and the exchange of Cholton meat pies.
Does the Countess notice this?
Oh, yeah. You're almost as horrified with the conversation as she is. Like, this is one of the most classless things you've ever seen.
You can just sort of see her face, like, she's a little bit older, so she her chin just keeps receding into her folds of chin, and she's just like trying to make herself as small as possible as she's looking over at Trieste.
Gilly's like, what was going on here? Oh, you were in the middle of something, weren't you? Gilly just smiles. There's like crumbs and meat kind of like in his mouth, right? And he just, all right, I'll just go sit over here. You finish up your tea time or whatever it is going on over there.
Celine just kind of looks over at him and also very disgusted, especially because they're eating the meat pies.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
The smell alone.
Yeah.
Doran will shrug and then go and sit and eat a meat pie and read the paper.
Triest, did he say anything else? Was he looking for someone when he came into the club?
She says, just me. He told me that he was sorry and that he cared for me, but he was leaving the city and we couldn't see each other anymore.
Did he say where he was going?
She actually looks like she sort of realizes that she hadn't even considered that before, and she says, no, he didn't. He just said that he was done here and that it was time for something else.
Max would like to roll an insight check. That's a 19.
So many 19s.
19's the new 23.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
She seems genuinely kind of saddened by this whole thing, and her confusion and her trauma are all genuine. She's not putting up a front. She is authentically sort of crushed by this.
Doran will look up, meat pie falling from his lips. It doesn't make a lick of sense. The gang leader doesn't just leave town on his own.
Triest, did he wear anything or have anything with him that seemed odd?
No, he didn't. He came as he always did. Fine Waterdavian clothes that were, sort of reminiscent of Luskin.
But no bags, no weapons.
Nope.
Gilly finishes up his meat pie and says from across the room, did he have any servants that usually accompanied him when he took the carriage out?
She seems kind of wistful, like as if she's remembering like how kind of different he was for his station. She says, no, he didn't really carry on like that. He didn't even have servants. He had employees that he paid quite well.
Gilly says to her, well, but you met some of the employees, right? Like you've seen them around.
She says, yeah, sometimes they would accompany him to the club and, they would drink and party on their own and do their own thing while he was there to see her.
So Fletch, what Gilly is trying to establish is how well she really knew her lover.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to do. Like I'm trying to figure out like, oh, does she really know Grukkan, right? Or, is she kind of just say, just having a dalliance with him and, but apparently, what he's learning through these questions is how much Grukkan actually shared with her, right? So that he understands like sort of how connected in their relationship they were, how deep their relationship was.
Sure. I hate to be monotonous, but go ahead and roll an insight check.
19.
Of course it is.
Do we need to roll for the rest of the night?
Yeah. No, everyone gets 19s all night long.
Let's take a passive 19 on that check.
A passive 19. You get the idea that she knew kind of a portion that she didn't have the full picture. She had sort of like maybe his public persona or something like that, but she didn't know the real Grukkan. She got this guy that would show up to the club.
But it seems like she knew Grukkan pretty well. She knew a lot about like his comings and goings, his habits, whom he liked, whom he did not like, things like that.
Well, she knew about his comings and goings at the club.
Right.
So he wouldn't take a horse to the club. He wouldn't, sometimes he would walk, sometimes he would ride the carriage. Sometimes his employees would come with him, sometimes they wouldn't. She got that, but she didn't get anything else.
Celine's gonna ask, Triest, did Grukkan come more often the week that he was killed?
She says, actually, now that you mention it, no, he didn't come at all the week before he was killed.
Is that normal?
No, normally he would make an appearance once or twice a week, at least.
I think the Countess, on the same note as what Gilly is doing, she's going to just sort of sigh wistfully and say, "Oh, my dear, what a wonderful little dalliance. It seems like he cared for you greatly. Perhaps you could share with us a memory, one of your fonder memories."
Will Triest's fond memories spark a clue to her lover's killer? Where will she go now that she needs to skip town? And how do these South Ward fires link up with a mercenary gang? Maybe the answers will be in the next episode of Deep Trouble. Or maybe we'll sit around and talk some more. Also, a huge thank you to everyone that's been listening to the show. We've really enjoyed all the comments and feedback. Please leave a review on iTunes or wherever you download your podcasts. It helps us reach a wider audience. You can also check us out on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Just do a search for Adventure They Wrote. Another thank you to Tabletop Audio for providing all the fantastic sounds that we use in our show. If you want to add a little sound to your game nights, all of Tim's work can be found at tabletopaudio.com. And lastly, if you're in the mood to help us out with some charity, we're joining the Wizards of the Coast for their Extra Life campaign. All the proceeds are going to the Seattle Children's Hospital. The details are up at adventuretheywrote.com, or you can check us out live November 5th on the Dungeons & Dragons Twitch channel. Once again, thanks for listening, and tune in next time for more mystery.
The Adventure They Wrote podcast is copyright 2018 AdventureTheyWrote.com and is licensed under the Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivative Works 4.0 International License. That means that you can share it, and we really encourage that, but you can't make any changes to it, and you're not allowed to charge for it. If you have any questions, visit creativecommons.org.